What is up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking with Drew Hilliard from Season 3 of Sequester. Drew, how you doing?
It's Hilliard, but I'm doing great.
Hilliard? Is that how you pronounce it? Damn it, I'm not good at last names.
Tomato, honestly.
All right, so, Drew, before we even get into the whole entire game talk, because you did have a lot of influence over people and you pretty much had a lot of good gameplay going on, tell us how you got involved with Sequester.
So I watched Season 1 and Season 2. During the game, I said that I only watched Season 2 because I don't want to be like the only person who'd seen everything. But I didn't know seasons, so obviously I saw your historic 2 nights or however many you've been. And I was a fan of the game. Most of the people in here are big Brother fans. I like Big Brother, but I'm a bigger Survivor fan. And I think that people go into this game thinking it's Big Brother, Big Brother, Big Brother. But I think it's more like Survivor than it is Big Brother. And I think a lot of the strategy that people employ is like Big Brother strategy. And I think that that's stupid and it fucks up their game. But we can get into that as the game goes on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I believe me on that one. So I guess you want to just get right into the game. Is that it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So cycle 1. Oh, before we even get into that, so you find out you get on the show, you watch the intro. Is there anyone that you saw in the intro that you were like, I got to work with this person? Or is there anyone that you were like, I got to go against this person?
So I come from an org background. Like I play games. I haven't played it probably like pretty close to a year before this. So I took a little time off. I'm a snob, so I only play a game that I think is really good. And this one came around and I got excited for it. But I recognized Jesse from org, so I knew Jesse was either going to be a friend or he was going to be someone who knew about me, and that was not going to be good news. The other person was Callie, actually. Callie, I couldn't place exactly where she was from, but I knew I had seen her somewhere. And then I remembered that I had been in the bar that she works at when I saw her about me, and she read my tarot one night, and it was like not good for me. It was not a good reading, and it like revealed stuff about me personally, and I was just like, oh shit, this is someone that I need to like get out of the game. Like if she places me, I'm screwed, because she's gonna already have an immediately bad vibe for her. But like I gave her a great tip, like not to be, I was drunk, so like I was just throwing out money. So I was like, okay, immediately I was worried about one person.
All right, so we're on to cycle 1. You're in a room with Miranda, right?
Yeah. And
how did you feel about Miranda when you were in a room with her?
So I thought of the people in the room. She was great, but going into it, I had a perception that she was going to be one of the more shy people, and Miranda really surprised me in the game. Like she had a lot of game, and going into it, I was like, okay, this is going to be someone she's younger. So I was thinking to myself, okay, that she's probably not going to be as aggressive and going for it. But like Miranda and I really hit it off, and I was like, good, this is someone who's going to be on my side. And then as the game progressed, I realized that she was really like a powerhouse in the game, which was great for me. It was just luck that I started with her the first night, because I don't know if I would have been able to build a relationship if we didn't have that night 1 connection.
Yeah. So going into the first cycle, you found out you have this bounty twist. And who was your bounty?
My bounty was Alora. And I wanted to get Alora out the first night. I did. I saw like she had like a big social media thing, and everyone was saying how amazing she was. And I was just like, honestly, I was over it, and I was annoyed. And I like, oh, okay, this is good. Like this is someone that I could target. And then I was just like, it's a long game. Why would I don't want to use my social capital. Any social capital I build up, I don't want to make myself a target just to get a freaking power. Like if it happens, it happens. And then I realized that in every room, I didn't even hear her name. And I was like, okay, I'm not even going to try to push this or do anything with this. I'll just sit back.
So it's between Callie and Andrew, and it seemed like I was watching like when you were in a room, and you made up a really good point about last season with Tiffany having a really high IQ and making it to the final 2. And it seemed like Callie and Andrew, they were the 2 people who had the biggest IQs within the game. So it comes down between Callie and Andrew. And you were more focused on Andrew, or you were more focused on Callie?
Oh, Callie 100%, because of my interaction with her in person. Like I didn't see her at all in the game. So I don't know. I assume that she doesn't remember me or know anything. Why would she? I'm sure she reads millions of people's tarot and all this stuff. But it was, as soon as her name came up, I was so excited, and I wanted Andrew in the game because he's a huge target. Like, why would I get rid of someone who's a big threat? I will gladly keep someone in the game like that, which comes to bite me in the ass later in the game.
Yeah.
Right now, it's good for me the first round. So as soon as Andrew actually threw out Callie, he honestly deserves all the credit on that end because he's the one who no one wanted to pick the name in the room they were in. It was Casey, me, Lana, and Andrew. And Andrew, no one wanted to pick a name between the three. Casey was obviously doing his Casey thing. Lana was
up in the air.
Yeah, Lana was sitting back. She was going to go with whatever. And I didn't want people to know that I was going to play really hard right at the beginning. So basically, Andrew said she has a high IQ. Let's go for her. And I was like, this is great for me. But it sort of also turned out to be bad for me. This is night one, like a night where I just sit and I'm like, oh my God, if I would have just done something different, my whole game could have been different.
Yeah, it's always the first night that's the biggest regret for some people. But we found out that it's a 6-6 tie. And did you expect that?
So I knew we had 4. And basically, I just sat in the room and I said to Andrew, we all said to Andrew, you know, if you can go get 2 more votes, go ahead. Like, go get people, tell them this is the vote, who the vote is for. And I have no idea what happened. Like, I haven't gone back and rewatched anything, so I really don't know. But I figured my vote's not public because I'd seen the game, so I didn't give a shit. I could throw my vote every single round. That's the beautiful thing about the game is you can lie and tell everyone whatever you want, but your vote is not public. Every time I said where my vote was going to go, it was going to go. But in the back of my mind, it was always like, hey, I can throw a vote whenever I want. And no one's ever going to know about it.
That's the best thing about it. The votes aren't the votes are anonymous. That's the best thing about that. So it's a 6-6 vote. Callie and Andrew make their plea. Callie says she's never seen Big Brother, and then Callie gets evicted.
Yeah, no, her plea, bless her heart, was not very good. It was like, I'm offended that people would vote against me, and I'm
not a Big Brother fan.
Well, I knew someone was going to flip when she did that because Andrew's plea was great. You know, he knew and I obviously kept my vote the same and voted her out. I'm sure I don't know who told the truth about who flipped and who didn't flip, but
I don't think anyone did, honestly.
Yeah,
I think you guys top best first night.
You think so?
Sure. Because no one knew about it. No one knew it was a 6-6. The whole alumni was like, "Oh fuck, what's going on?" We didn't even hear Callie's name.
Do you know if he got in a room with other people, or did other people just throw their votes on Callie and get lucky? Like,
I think everyone else just went into a room. They just got lucky, which was weird.
That is weird.
So moving on to cycle 2, Andrew's the big topic of discussion, and clearly you didn't want Andrew out at that point, correct? Because Andrew was the number for your side.
I think I messed this up for Andrew, to be 100% honest. So I was super paranoid the first couple nights, and I think that I completely messed it up for Andrew. I think that they got in a fight, and I said to myself, okay, as long as I build up this fight, no one's going to come at me. So every room I went in, I was like, oh, did you hear about the drama? Did you hear about the fight? Did you hear about everything that went on?
The Daniel versus Andrew fight.
Right, yes, that one. I'm sorry, I didn't even set that up. And, so then I said to myself, you know, these two are going to be the targets all night. I'm not going to have to worry about shit as long as I mention this in every single room. So I did. And I think that more people wanted to keep Andrew. I just don't think the right people got in the right rooms at the right time. Because after the game, everyone's saying, well, I wanted to keep Andrew. I wanted to keep Andrew. No one wanted to stick their neck out and, you know, say something that early in the game. I think that ultimately that was Andrew's demise.
Yeah. But, and it also came down to, like, he was on Big Brother, and I feel like more people had more excuses getting him out over other people.
Right. So I just went with everyone, and I voted out Andrew. Yeah. Which, in hindsight, I probably voted out Daniel. And like I said earlier, my vote wouldn't matter because it was anonymous. No one would have known.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. All right, so Andrew gets eliminated.
You'll see, Chris. I think that I made a mistake literally every single round. And when everyone says that I played like, oh, such a good game, like you were such a mastermind, I'm just like, you guys are way, way wrong. Like, I understand what people built me up to be, but like, if you look at reality, there's a mistake every single round.
I disagree, but we'll see. We'll keep going. So we find out cycle 3, the polls aren't up, so you've watched Sequester, so you know it's a double eviction. So did you have 2 people in mind by any chance?
No. Honestly, so at the time, I felt good about Casey. And that was pretty much it. Like, there's people I liked, but I didn't at that time, like you've been with people for 4 hours, like I
Yeah.
had one conversation with Evie, maybe less than that. And it's just like who you get put with is who you work with. And that's kind of how it went. So going into the night, I was like, okay, well, I want to win the LOCs. I want to make sure that I'm safe because I'm worried that I might be a target, being paranoid.
Well, you were close the first time.
Huh?
You were close like the first LLC when it was between you and Evie.
No, so this is what annoys me. And I'm going to throw production under the bus 100%. I said, is it like Price is Right or is it not in the chat? And no one answered me. And then like 2 nights later, I'm in the room with Evie and she's talking about the LOC and she's like, oh, I just want Price is Right. I want $2. And I was like, this is so freaking annoying because I
didn't know if you could go over or not.
I overed, but I was closer than her. I know I was. And I was just, I lost the LLC and it just boiled my blood. I mean, it was probably better for my game, but
I was confused by that too because they didn't say it was going to be over or under or whatever. They were just like,
right, which is me. I asked a million questions at the wrong time, and it annoys production. But it's fun.
Right.
They're not going to watch this, so I'm not worried.
I know they're not going to watch this. I know that feeling. Trust me. So we find out that Carson gets eliminated, and I was watching you, and you were like, guys, like, what's going on? Am I getting like blindsided? Or I don't know what's going on.
I didn't get in the room with anyone, and I voted for freaking Miranda. How stupid am I? Like, the one person in the game, like at that point, who was like really trusting of me. I was so paranoid. Like, this is what I'm saying. I had no idea. I was like, oh, I just don't want it to be me. Like, and the funny part is, I finally stopped getting paranoid. Like after that, after I get blindsided, I was like, okay, well, like you have to fucking play. You need to get your head out of your ass. Like, you're not in a bad position. Like, you are worried that you're in. You're doing fine. You're good. You're not coming up on people's radar. So like, get it together. And then like this from Carson's eviction was like the wake up call I needed in the game.
Mm-hmm. So then after Carson gets eliminated, it's Lana. And
whatever.
Yeah, Lana gets eliminated.
Lana would have been good to me, but like I said early in the first couple of rounds, I said, like I didn't want to put any of my social capital into that move. Like it was too early to make that move in the game. But at that point in the game, that round, I figured she was going. Like I was still paranoid that maybe it was potentially me because, that freaking blog came out. And going
the blog was, oh my God.
The blog came out and like every single night, the blog was, I'm an a-hole. It was like one other person and then like Drew's either playing great or Drew's either being a liar. So Carson gets targeted and there was a thing in there about
talking about Andrew.
Yeah, Carson and Andrew were really close. But Carson and I had a conversation about Evie. And Carson's like, I'm getting rid of Evie tomorrow night. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Let's get rid of her. I love it. I haven't talked to her. I think she's a big threat. Let's do it. So after Carson went, I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, shit, I might be the next person that Evie wants out because I haven't talked to her or anything. So I was a little worried it was either me or Lana. But Miranda, who I had just voted for the previous round, came into a room with me and Lana. And she left the room right away when Lana like asked her a question. And to me, like in my gut, I was like, okay, Lana's the target because she didn't want to be in a room with Lana, even though I was still in the room. And I'm sorry if I'm like, if you're not following this and I'm like,
no, I am.
Okay. I just felt like that the fact that she wanted to bounce, it was fine. So I used the rest of the round to gauge like what everyone was actually doing. So like Casey, I figured out, I knew what his pitch was going to be at the finals that night. When like I was pretty sure at the beginning, but I knew it. Annette, like I couldn't really place what she was doing until the next night, but I sort of figured it out. I'm like, why doesn't Annette ever set a name? Like every single person, I figured out what Jesse was doing. I figured out what Laura was doing. It was like my perceptions of everyone. That's when I made like what I think everyone is doing. And for the most part, they were pretty much dead on. And that's what helped me. Like, so I didn't waste a round. I knew Lana was going home, but I wanted to use that as the time to figure out what everybody else is doing, like besides that.
Yeah, trying to figure everyone's gameplay out.
Right.
And for the most part, you got that right. Because Annette didn't have to say a name because you got the power.
Right. But
I
didn't know officially until after cycle 4, whichever one is coming up. I was in my bed and I was like, fuck, this is actually playing this way.
All right, so Carson and Lana get eliminated. We're on to cycle 4, and this is where you have the power to say wherever you want on the big screen. So talk about what kind of stuff you put there and why you put some of the stuff there.
So that started like me still being like, all right, so I figure out where I think everyone is. And I think in Cycle 3, I had a conversation with Jesse at the end of the night, and I felt like really good about Jesse. And I was like, okay, like I linked up with Jesse. I hadn't been able to talk to him. We have this org background. Like maybe we can use this to team up. And my plan going into the night was like, all right, I'm going to work with Jesse. So I knew that this is the round that I wanted to like use some of my social capital and get someone out that I needed to get out. So me, a friend of mine, and his girlfriend voted all freaking day and just spammed for me to get the power. Because I knew I didn't have a fouling. So I'm at work, I'm on my phone, and I'm trying to do it. And you guys just like spend like a half hour each and like vote for me. And like, I don't care who you vote for every single time. This is actually funny. And I was like, I asked my friend, I was like, hey, who are you voting for in the other categories? He goes, oh, I'm just voting for Alora every single time because she's the top name on the list. So going into the night, I'm like, oh, Alora, like if we did this right, Alora is going to get every single punishment. And the night starts, and Jesse's getting every single one. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to get the power.
But then you find out you do.
Well, then this is great. I don't find out that I get the power until like 10 minutes into the cycle. So I'm like, I didn't get the power. I'm like, damn it, I need the power to do what I wanted to do. So production messages me 10 minutes into the cycle, and they're like, hey, we need a message. And I'm in a conversation with someone, and it looks shady as fuck if you type something. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know how I'm going to use this yet. I know I'm going to have to blow up someone and make them a target that's not me. Because, again, going back to the freaking blog, the night before, the blog was Jesse and Alora are like a mega pair, and Drew's the ultimate snake. And it was saying how, like, I threw Jesse's name out, and I did something, and, like, maybe, I don't even remember what I did the night before.
Yeah.
But it made me look bad. And I was like, okay, me and Daniel were the targets. This is around the Daniel and I started in a room. So I wasn't voting for him. I'm like, Daniel, we need to work together. We need to figure this out. Let's do it. So he did his Daniel thing, and I didn't see him the rest of the night. And I have this power, and I'm like, okay, I need to use this power. I want to build trust with someone. I want to tell them about the power, and I want to do this. So the person I wanted to tell was Jesse going into the cycle. I'm like, I'm going to tell Jesse about this because, like, I need to make up for what the blog said and do this. So I don't get in a room with Jesse, and I'm going around, and the first person I see is Miranda, and Miranda's like, we got to get Jesse out. And we have to do this, and we got to do this, and these are the reasons why. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I don't know 100% where Jesse's head's at, what I need to do. So I just straight up told Miranda, like, hey, I have the – actually – Miranda, okay, so I had a conversation with Jesse first, I believe, and I didn't feel good about my Jesse conversation, and then she said it. And then I had talked to a bunch of people. I don't remember when I revealed the power. This is messing up my story. But I told Miranda first about my power. Like, I know Casey said on the show, like, Drew told me about the power, and that's how we work together. I had already worked that out with Miranda. I just told Casey that, too, because I wanted Casey to feel the same way as Miranda.
Yeah.
So the first couple messages I said were like, I like bacon. Because I just had to like burn it off. And they're like, we need another message. We need another message. And I'm like, I can't give a message when I'm in a conversation with someone because they're going to catch on to what I'm doing. And then they're going to.
Right, exactly.
Right. So I use the power. She says, Jesse is the person we need to go after. And I say, okay, well, I'm going to send a message out about. So the first message I sent after the bacon one is like, Daniel looks great. And I wanted it to be like, Daniel knew the person who had the power was like on his side, right?
Yeah.
Subconsciously. But it ended up being everyone thought Daniel had the power then, which was hilarious. Yeah. Oh, Daniel is a liar and he has this freaking power and he did all this stuff. So, and I messed up with the power also because by me telling people, the Boyers all knew and they all put that shit on blast and my game and made me seem like an amazing player. But if I would have just kept it to myself, I probably would have been fine and I could have done the same thing. So then I tell Casey and I said something to Casey, like, should I say this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, how about this to blow up Jesse? And he's like, yeah. So I used the messages to blow up Jesse. But like the fact of the matter is, like, I can take credit for the Jesse thing all night, but like Daniel wanted him out, Miranda wanted him out, apparently Annette wanted him out. Like, what did I really have to do? Like, they all wanted him out already. So it was like,
yeah, exactly.
Threw more logs on the fire to like got Evie on the same page, which probably helped her game moving forward, but she did need help.
So, okay, so Jesse gets eliminated. I remember even said on his after show, he's like, yeah, can I say who it is? It's Drew. And obviously,
Right.
People are
Jesse,
gonna watch it. And...
and what a freaking snake I was, which was fine. Like, I mean, I didn't talk to Jesse like the entire night. Like, I would get in a room with Jesse and I would just leave because I'm like, I'm not gonna spend. And he said something to me after the game. He's like, I knew like you didn't want to get in a room with me that night. I'm like, what could I? I'm just wasting time. You're gonna be out tonight if I do everything right. So I want to build relationships with everybody else. So the fact that Jesse and Alora were so tight, I was just like, she's gonna be pissed like going into the next night. So that sets up the next cycle, really.
So you break up the Jesse and Alora duo, and now we're on to cycle 5, and it's between Daniel and Alora. Now, this is important because now Daniel, it seems like Daniel's by himself, but he actually isn't. And then there's Alora, who doesn't have a good relationship with Evie, and I guess the rest of the girls too. Like, do you think maybe using Alora to your advantage would have worked later on in the future?
This is interesting, right? Because everyone's come on your show and they've all said, oh, voting out Alora was the biggest mistake in my game. For sure. Like, even Casey won the fucking game. He's still like,
yeah,
that's my biggest regret. Like, Casey, if you're watching this, go fuck yourself. 100%. You played great and you won. Like, shut up about what you could have done game better. I 100% stand by what I did this round. Like,
okay.
I know people will say, like, that's what fucked me. No. The next round was going to happen the way the next round was going to happen.
Well, explain it, though. Explain that with Alora, though. Like, why is Alora going better for your game?
Alora, Jesse blows me up the whole entire night before, right? Mm-hmm. He says, what a snake I am. Alora is his closest ally. And then the next night, she's desperate, and she's going to come to me and promise me the world. Of course she's going to do that stuff. All right? Daniel, I work with the night before. Daniel and I are on a common ground. Like, we're good. And this is where I'm going to – Daniel can say whatever he wants about his master strategy. I don't fucking buy it for a second. Okay? So for me, Alora was the person I needed to get out because Alora's going to link up with the girls. There's going to be 4 girls, and they're going to pick me and Casey off because we're a pair. That's the next move. And the pair, who's the more dominant person, me or Casey? Casey, who no one has ever said a bad word about in the history of his life until I told him to go fuck himself like 30 seconds ago, or me. They're going to vote me out because Casey was playing a better game than me. Straight up, under the radar. Like, he knew perfectly. I knew he was setting me up as a shield. And I could never go in a room and say, like, hey, I want to target Casey because no one's going to believe that. They will not believe me. They think that I'm just trying to set them up so I can never say a bad word about King Casey the entire game. Like, there's just nothing I can do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work with Casey. He was good, but I'm also trapped in this partnership with Casey the entire time. So we're at 6, and I say to myself, like, I know Alora and Casey had a little bit of trust with each other because, like, she told him about the bounty, and, like, again, Casey never did a bad thing to anyone, and I did. I absolutely did. I was doing – and the shady stuff I did at the beginning of the game was 100% out of paranoia. It wasn't because I was calculated or I was doing anything. It was like the Daniel fight was me building it up because I didn't want the target on me, and it wasn't like I want this person out. It was just me being afraid, so I did something stupid. Like, I would not do that again. I would just sit back and let it happen the way it is. So anyway, going in the night, I was like, okay, we're going to get rid of Alora. And Annette was doing her Annette thing. She wasn't going to throw out a name. And I knew she wanted to keep Alora the whole time. I knew it. But I was like, I'm going to just strong arm this because I need this to happen. Because I need the next night to be me, Daniel, Casey, worst case scenario, versus the 3 girls. Worst case scenario. That's what I did. So strong armed it, basically. I believe that, like, Casey was on board for sure. But I think, like, they were a little indecisive about keeping Laura. And I was like, she'll do whatever she wants. She's a loose cannon. She's getting in fights with everyone. I'm like, we know what Daniel does. Daniel does this shit all the time. We know it. So let's just keep the double that we know instead of the double that we don't know. So Laura went home, which sets up magical round, cycle 6.
Oh, you want to start that cycle?
Well, I mean, we're done, right? I think I've said the Laura logic. I needed to get her out because I was afraid of the girls thing. And she might say that she wanted to work with me, but I'm an idiot. And that's what I thought was the best move at the point of the round.
Okay, so I guess we'll move on to cycle 6, which I will say I watched season 1, I've played season 2, and I've never seen anything like this on Sequester, where someone fucking last 5 minutes pulls this bullshit and starts flipping.
There's a lot behind this round that I think. So I figure out, maybe I said that I figured out, and I had the thing in cycle 4. I figured it out before the Allure night.
She even says it. She says it in the beginning of the 6th cycle. I have this power. I made it to the final 5.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, whatever. Everyone knew already. Everyone
knew.
I knew, like, a little bit before like the round before or whatever. And I was like, this is why her gameplay is exactly what it is. So I knew the night before that she wanted to keep Laura, right? And of course, Annette and I started in the room. This is great that we start in the same room. So she has to pull the move while she's looking me in the face.
Yeah.
Which is great. So I started, and the first thing I say to Annette is, I think we made the wrong decision last night. I didn't, but I just wanted to think that like we're on the same page. And I thought to myself, when I thought that she had the LOS, I'm like, okay, how is she going to use this? Because like, if it's basically an idol, right?
It is. She explained it in the interview. She said it flushes any votes out against anybody.
Right.
So it flushed all of Daniel's votes out.
So the way I think like Survivor strategy, people only make moves on odds. So like, because you got to have 4 votes, and we're at. So going into it, I was like, everyone knew. Evie and I had a conversation the night before that they needed Annette on their side, and Annette and I were in the same room, and we have this whole thing like, we got to work together, blah 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 blah. And I messed up this conversation totally. I don't know if. I mean, I'm sure she'd admit this to you if you asked her, but she said in your interview with you that she thought that I was going to target her. I was never going to target her. In my mind, Annette was someone perfect to go to the end with, because if she didn't make that big move, I can sit next to her. I really felt like, because of the blog and everything that was out there, all I had to do was make the final 3, get to the final 2, and I was going to win the game. It's like, and I don't even think that that's gameplay or anything. I think that that's just public perception. And like, I think that, it ended up costing me. So Annette and I have this conversation. We're doing the House of Cards. And during the House of Cards, we're talking the entire time.
Yeah.
Which fucked me. I should have shut my mouth. Because I wanted to tell her that I don't think that I can go to the end with Casey. But she believed it. So I came off very wishy-washy in the conversation. I couldn't. So Annette, every time someone would say, like, you can't win, she'd get pissed off. Right? So I'm like, okay, well, I obviously I can't say that. I can't say I will beat you, because she's going to get mad and she's going to think otherwise. She's like, do you want to go to the end with Miranda? Like, I think Miranda trusted me more than I thought, because I was just like, I knew. Well,
she wrote Daniel, obviously.
So. Yeah. Oh, I know. And I didn't know until that night how much she actually trusted me. And so like, we have this whole back and forth, and like the whole time she knows she's going to pull this move on me, right? She knows this is her whole plan to vote me out. And I feel like if I did a better job in that conversation, it's probably not true, but if I did a better job in the conversation of reassuring her, like, you are the person that I want to go with, even though I said I had to deal with literally every person. Like, I had to deal with Evie, I had to deal with Miranda, I had to deal with Casey. Like, I didn't know what I actually wanted to do, but if Annette didn't pull the move, Annette was like the number 1 person on my list I wanted to go to the end with. Because all Annette did was just like sit in the middle up until that round.
Yeah, didn't do it. Yeah.
Like, I like her, but like, game wise, like, to sit next to her to me at the end and like argue that you did this, when I can say I had such a big target, and I can just say my moves were bigger than they actually were. I think my story is better than her at that point, but I can't say that to her. So I was like, well, like, she's like, I know you want to go with Casey. I'm like, let's go. But I think in her heart, she believed that I was going to go with Miranda. But I feel like Miranda was going to fucking torch the final 3 comp. And I was genuinely worried. I was the worst person at challenges. So, I mean, it speaks to what everyone thought of my game, that I never won an LOC, and I was only close on the 1. But other than that, I was horrible.
I thought you were throwing it at first. So I was like, wait, so Juice played Orcs before. He knows winning competitions makes you a bigger target, so he's throwing them.
No, I believe that you should throw comps in this game. Totally. Like,
that's funny, because like they mentioned it, like, don't throw comps in the cycle after. Miranda, Annette, and Casey, they all said don't throw comps.
Okay, so I'll get to that. Annette tweeted me something, and I was just like, my blood was just like I wanted to just say, like, you're wrong. Okay. So the first night, the Oreo night, I 100% believe you should always throw the first LOC. Like, no doubt. Like, you should never make yourself any more of a target than anyone else is the first night. The second night, I didn't really think that I mean, I don't think you should really win until like there's 8 people left, or unless you're in trouble. The time where you need to win is when there's a freaking double. So Annette tweeted me. I said, why can't anyone do a slider puzzle? And I tweeted it the round that Evie won. And Annette was like, because no one wants to win the first LOC of a double. And I'm just like, why the fuck wouldn't you want to win the first of a double with 5 people left? It's not an HOH where you're sitting on. I understand the Big Brother logic.
Yeah.
Where you lose or you win the first HOH and you can't play in the second one, and they can easily backdoor you. But it's not Big Brother.
It's more like Survivor.
There's nothing wrong with winning that one. So you win in 5 and 4, then you're in. There's no reason to hold back at that point. That is the sprint, 100%. And I know she sees that now. Like, I know she knows 100% because if they do the slider puzzle, they vote Evie out and she's in the finals. Like, or she's in the tiebreaker with someone. Like, I totally think Daniel would have stuck with her and it would have been whatever it would have been. But I don't believe that you should throw comps. Like, Casey won the game because he threw comps.
Yeah, he was apparently he finished the final LLC in like an hour and a half, and no one knew.
He won the Power of Hanoi. That's like the smartest competition in the game. Like, of all the LLCs, it's like, and he won it pretty convincingly, if I remember.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's fucking smart, guys. Like, it's clear that he's smart. It's clear that he knows that he's like dogging it, but he played a great game. I was just practicing everything, as I went to try to be serviceable.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to win. I just need to get second.
Yeah.
And I need to behave. Like, I feel like Kim lost season 1 because she was a brat during the final LLC.
Yeah. All right. So I still want to get back to the 6 cycle.
I'm going on lots of tangents.
No, it's good. It's good. It's awesome. So you find out that, well, you don't find out. So it's like 5 minutes before the voting happens. You're in the room with Annette. You find out Daniel's safe. You find out you get eliminated. What's going on at this point?
Okay, so let me go back. Let me call Daniel out first. Okay. So Daniel says that he came in there and he had a plan, and I might have been saying that he doesn't have a plan. It is insulting. Like, he clearly had a plan. I just don't agree with his plan. So for him to say that he initially targeted Miranda, but I was his real target, I think is just not true. I think that he actually believed that Miranda was playing the best game and he was doing all this stuff, because I don't believe that Daniel has any sort of restraint in his game at all. Like, we saw it the whole game. If he thinks something, that's what he's going to do. There's no, like, I'm going to do this to do that later. It's like, I'm going to do this right now.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to, like, take my shot. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's targeting Miranda. This is amazing for me. Because I was like, if I'm the target of his freak out, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and the entire time I was just being quiet. Like, and it was I think I said one like snotty thing. He's like, "This is something.
I remember what you said. I'll repeat what you said. It was Daniel in the room, and he was like yelling and screaming, and then you were like, "Well, if you know so much, why are you in this position right now?" And then he says, "Oh, well, because I'm playing a terrible game right now."
Okay, which perfect. Thanks for saying that to me, Daniel, and then coming to the end and saying that you're a mastermind. So there's 2 things. I actually said something else that was snotty. He said something about, like, I'm playing an awful game in this house. And I was like, well, we're not in a house. Because it does annoy me as someone who's seen the seasons. Like, I really think that this is a completely separate entity. Even though the Survivor strategy, it's like their Survivor strategy. I think this is a completely separate thing from Big Brother. And
well, sometimes I say eviction. I'm like, oh fuck, it's elimination.
No, everyone does it. But it's like, look, guys, if we want, this is a completely separate tangent. Like, if you want Sequester to be a thing, like, we have to get away from that. Like, otherwise, it's just going to be like, oh, this Big Brother person made this game, because it is a different game. There's different strategy. Mm-hmm. It's completely different. Like, we have to stop using terminology. Instead of double eviction, it's double elimination. Like, it's just a little thing to get it out of people's heads. Anyway. That was like me on a high horse.
Just go, keep going.
Okay, so Daniel targeted Miranda, but his whole plan the entire time was to get me. No, it wasn't. He got me because Evie wanted to get me, which, good for Evie, because I was going to target Evie. She was right. Mm-hmm. Evie, I thought, was the strongest player in the game at that point, and up until she went out, Evie would have had my vote in the finals over Casey. Like, I would have voted for Evie, no doubt. I think Evie had a big target, and she made great moves, and she got out who she wanted. Like, for them to say that I was a mastermind at that point, I feel like Evie had done way more than me.
Well, I think the reason why that was the case was because it seemed like I was talking to Miranda and Annette about this, but you, Miranda, Annette, and Casey were like a 4, right?
Yeah.
So that's when Daniel's comparing and contrasting, he's like, okay, if I get rid of Evie, I'll be next, because these 4 are pretty close together. So it kind of seemed like he was trying to break the 4 up, and I mean, it did break in a sense, but
No,
I don't.
he had the right logic because he was with Evie the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I sort of knew, but I didn't really know. I didn't really know how close they were. And but for him to target Miranda first, I just don't understand. And then to like think that Miranda's going to vote me out after you make her upset. So this is where I went wrong. So Miranda wins the LO whatever, the LOC. There's so many LOs right now. So she wins it, and that's terrible for me. I didn't realize that I have to win. So the house of cards, 100% I throw. No, I didn't even try. I was just talking to Annette the entire time, trying to make her feel good. Like I wasn't even worried about winning it because I was like, Miranda's the target, or we're going to go with Daniel. So I got comfortable, and I was lazy, and I, was like, okay, if I get to this double, like if I really felt like if I got to 5, I was going to win again. Like I was like, okay, all I have to do is get to tomorrow night, and then towards the end of the cycle after the LLC, Miranda wins, which is horrible for me. And I don't even think about it because I'm already thinking to the next night.
Right.
Like, who's Daniel going to target then? It's clearly me because he said I was playing the second best game. But I just believe that everyone was fine. I believe that everyone was good because we were all in the same room. And then someone says, Miranda's crying. And I'm thinking to myself, I need Miranda for tomorrow night. I have to go check in with her. Like, it's a bad look for me if I don't go check in with her and make sure that everything's okay. So I go to that other room, and obviously we know what happens. Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Great job. Like, I'm so happy that she got that power and she freaking used it the way that she used it because, like, to have something like that and to just not
use it the right way.
Right. She used it. But the problem was, and I think in hindsight, I don't know if she'd agree with me, but I really think that she should have used it on Casey and kept me as the bigger target for the double. Because if I'm the big target that everyone knew that I was, then she should break up the pair, leave me alone on an island, and then the second I lose an LOS, like she never went in beta middle to get out Casey. Like, obviously, what happened was she got stuck in. At least she has like a better argument. Like, she can argue about Miranda. Like, everyone voted Miranda out of 5 because she was great at challenges. Me, I had never won an LOS or an LOC. I hadn't done anything, and I was a big target. And there's a double. Like, chances are I'm not going to win both.
Yeah.
So I really feel like she should have used it to get out Casey, weaken me, and then I would have had 2 votes going in the next night. And then she can go to the end with me, or she can go to the end with the other pair. So she has, like, I get the big move, but that's the big move that it's like you took out the biggest.
You make later.
Well, I mean, she had to make it there. So she took out the biggest player in the game. She used this freaking power, and now she's the person. She basically just chopped my head off, grabbed my crown, put it on her head, and got on the throne. Whereas she takes out Casey, she chops off the prince next to me, She puts it on. And the king is still in the game as a buffer for her. Then she can throw Daniel on the bus. There's just so much more play.
Right. Well, I agree 100%.
I mean, hindsight is 2020. It was still a great move. And she almost so like what am I saying? Like you can literally change your move every single round. Like I've gone through every round and said I should have done this, and this.
I know that feeling. Yeah, it's not.
You know.
Yeah, not a good feeling. But moving on to the second double eviction. When you were watching it now, how does it feel? First of all, how does it feel watching it comparing to actually playing it, like within your game?
I mean, it was different for this season. Like in past seasons, it's like you don't understand the intensity unless you're in the game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
As a viewer, you don't know. You're like, why are these people so paranoid? Like, what's going on? It's just like you don't. And like, I liked the game a lot when I watched it, but I really loved it after playing. Like, I was just like, wow, there's so much to this. Like, you don't realize. Everyone says like all the cliches about it, but you don't really know until you do it. And watching it was like, I'm not going to lie, it freaking sucked because I felt like, I wanted to be there. I probably didn't deserve to be there based on the game that I played. But it's just different. It's less intense. And going into the night, I just wanted to see Casey, Miranda, and Nat get to the end. That's what all right. Say. But I did say, actually, I don't remember if I said this to Audrey or Gibson, but I was like, the most interesting final 3 is Casey, Evie, and Daniel, because I don't know what would happen in that scenario. I don't know how they argue against each other. Like, that'd be great. And obviously, that's how it turned out.
All right. So You find out that Miranda gets eliminated. Did you think that Miranda was going to get eliminated?
I didn't honestly. I thought that it would be Miranda and Casey the first time, and
Yeah.
because of her, because Casey did a good job of building her up as a challenge threat, and they all did that. I think that's why it wasn't really that big of a surprise. I assumed after I went, one of those two was going to go for sure.
So what did you between Evie and Daniel? Who did you want for the final two? For the final two, up against Casey.
I wanted Evie because I thought it would be a better fight. So where I was sitting, and I did go into the finals with an open mind of, I'm going to vote for it, because I hate when people go in there with their mind made up. Like, Casey played a very passive game, which I don't love, and Daniel played an aggressive game. I just think Casey was smarter throughout, in my mind, going into the final night. And I just thought Evie of the bunch I just thought she played the best game.
She played more dominant.
Yeah, and which I respect, especially coming in with Target. Like, I feel like she had a tough, no one knew who Casey was. And everyone knew who Daniel was because he beat on his chest every round and told us.
Yeah. So it's between Casey and Daniel in the final two. They make their plea. They have different stories, and you voted for Casey to win over Daniel, and why?
Okay, so I thought that Daniel, and I know I bashed his game because I think it's funny to bash Daniel, to be 100% honest, and I know he'll get bent out of shape by something.
Yeah.
He said stuff to me that I lost because I was arrogant and all this stuff. I am, but I don't give a shit. I don't think that's the reason I lost the game. I think I lost the game because I didn't do a good enough job playing people social media wise. That was the most impressive thing that Casey said. That he did not care about the screen time. He just cared about winning. Daniel absolutely cared about the screen time. He wanted to be a big character, and he was such a one-note player to me. And I feel like Casey was not the most dynamic person in the world, but I thought his argument was perfect. He said exactly what he needed to say. I don't think that he messed up at all. And to me, Daniel, he argued with jurors. If he was a little more humble and he sat back and he
most of them kind of roasted Daniel.
Yeah, I know, but there's a certain way to I just feel like he only went in a strategy for certain people. For him he didn't need to claim that he made Annette's move. He needed Annette to feel hey, we were on the same team and you made a great move and you saved me. He needed Annette to feel good about it. It wasn't an ego thing. He just didn't, he was too busy saying how great he played instead of just playing people. And I think Casey didn't say a bad word about anyone. So Lana comes in and says that the Myers-Briggs is stupid and you should never say it. And what does he say? She's trying to vote for him. He says, well, actually, I know maybe he said this in his blog, but he said well, the Myers-Briggs is more important than you think.
Yeah.
But his mindset. He might have not said it at the Final Trouble console, or I'm an idiot. Wow. He might have not said it at the finals.
Yeah.
I just did exactly what I said not to do.
That's all right.
But I just what is Annette going to do but torch him when he says for three different people, and I said this to him, that it was his move and everyone should respect what he did. Everyone really respected what he did. He was my shield. I did all this stuff to him, but for him all he had to do was show a little humility and say just show that it was a game. Casey showed what he did. He explained it. It all made sense. To me, Daniel was pulling stuff out of the air, and he said that he did everything. You can do everything. The only person he gave credit to was friggin' Evie.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it was even a case of jury management, like people say. I don't know if you can manage jury in a 2-hour game. You just have to play to every single person. And you have to be convincing, and you have to be genuine, and you have to be humble. And there was no humility in any of his final answer. And even at the end, he thought I was a Mets fan. I'm a Cubs fan, but he thought I was a Mets fan because I was an American Mets hat. His thing was how I'm like the Mets who lost. And he's I don't understand why I'm insulting you. You're telling me that you're better than me. You're sitting there. I know you're better than me. I know you played a better game because you're there and I'm not. You don't have to tell me that. Tell me what you did that I didn't see. That's
better than Casey's game.
That's better than Casey. His game was way flashier. He could have made a great argument. I know for you guys sitting there, it was oh, this is neck and neck. But to me, it was just a clear, he didn't do Casey showed a different side of himself that we didn't see in the game that showed his game was something. Anyway, I think Daniel could have won.
I think Daniel could have won too if he just kind of like worded things a little bit better.
He thinks everyone was bitter, but I don't. I think Casey made a better argument, and I think Casey played a better game based on the argument he gave.
Especially and also from season 1, we find out that like it all comes down to the final LLC, and Donovan did better than Kim, and it's the same thing this season too. Like Casey killed everyone.
No disrespect to Donovan, no disrespect to Donovan, but I kind of feel like Casey is like Donovan on like a little better Donovan.
Yeah.
Like I really think that he showed a little more. Like I love Donovan's game. I love what he did. I think, Kim played a great game too. And I think Kim, I don't really know how that fell apart. But I think Casey was perfect. All the winners.
Yeah. All the winners are good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about so obviously you got to watch next season. What do you think they should do differently next season compared to this season? And how do you feel about the season overall?
I mean,
compared to past seasons.
It was a great season. So like the final 6 people, and again, no disrespect to anyone else, but I feel like the final 6 of this game were like badasses. Like I legitimately think everyone is a badass game player, and I think if you would have like picked like that's what was, to me, that was so exciting, because like I played other games and I feel like you get to the end and there's like there was not a GOAT. I don't even think there was a GOAT the entire season, honestly. Like everyone came to play, and that's what made it so good. I think that the thing I underestimated was the social media presence. So I think you can figure out a way to give people a chance to play the public a bit. I don't know how you do that. Like Casey did a great job, doing that. And that was what was so impressive. And that's something that I didn't think about doing, because to me, it was just, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to run through a wall, and I don't care what anyone says about me. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Like I can debunk social media as much as I can, but they're going to say what they say about me. And that was a mistake. Totally. I played that wrong, and he played it brilliantly. So I think if you can figure out a way to give people strategically, I don't care about the social media, like it's part of the game. People can say whatever they want, but if you can give someone a way to play it more overtly, because I think Casey was helped by the circumstance of he was not as showy. Because like then we get into a case where like no one's going to be showy and like play.
That's the whole point, right?
Right.
Then no one's going to talk next season and be like, okay, I'm not going to.
I mean, I think people have enough of an ego where they're going to talk and think. But I think for like a game player perspective, I think if you can put something in place, and like production's super smart, and I'm sure they'll have a solution and they'll put it in, and I'll be like, oh, okay, well they're smarter than me, per usual.
Would you go back for Sequester All-Stars if they told you to?
So if they told me to, you're going back. So when I got out, I said that I wouldn't play, and right now I wouldn't play either. I mean, like I understand it. It's like I just feel like I don't know if I'm that interesting to anyone, to be 100% honest. Like I just go in there and I just play, and I don't know how interesting that is. Like Daniel's great. Like Daniel's perfect for All-Stars. Daniel Evie's great. Like Annette's great. I think Casey's great now that he won. Like I think Miranda's great. I think Alora's great. Our whole freaking cast.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have like, I really feel like I have a big personality, but I don't feel like, I think I have one fan, and it was someone that I knew, like legitimately, like I probably had like 3 or 4 friends who watch me. And like, if you look at all the social media posts, like you can find someone who plays my type better than me, I think, in another season. And that's why, like, I don't know if they would ask me, and I don't particularly know if I would play. And maybe
I think they would ask you. I'm going to be honest. I think they would ask you to play.
Why do you think so, though?
Because I feel like you played a different. You played more strategic than anyone else. Like you might have not have made it further, but you played a more mastermind type of game. I don't know how to explain it, but
don't you think that my game just looks bigger because of what Annette did to me? Because I kind of feel like that. Like if I didn't.
No, it was all season, Drew. It was all season.
All right.
For the alumni, we were like, me and Kim were debating, like, are they going to get rid of Drew? Drew's playing a really good game right now, and Kim's like, no, they're not going to do that.
Chris, I got 6th place. Like, I was not like. There's so many more rounds happen after me, but I appreciate you saying that. No, that's good, nice to hear, and obviously they're going to have a couple more seasons before All-Stars come around, and maybe I'll change my.
Yeah.
I'm sure after this interview, everyone's done listening to me talk ever again. I promise.
No, but that's all good. So what other questions? Oh, best favorite moment in Sequester. What would your favorite moment be? Maybe the bubble, maybe the gum chewing a lot.
It
We
wasn't
know
even
that's like
like I thought that I have such a big mouth that it was like unfair for that punishment because I was like after the cycle was over, I had so much adrenaline going. I was shooting it for like an hour before I noticed. Like just a lot. Favorite moment was probably I think it was probably the Jesse round just getting the power. Like it was not fun getting blindside. Like everyone can say that and at playing the power was the most fun. That was the least fun. Like likes to feel stupid and get outplayed. So that was the least fun part. But definitely the power with Jesse and reading one of Danny Butler, aka Sequester Truth's blogs, where he said that I haven't even watched Game of Thrones, but there was one thing where he said like one person in this game has like a Game of Thrones like stranglehold on this game. I don't know how the fuck you did it, but like great job. And I assumed that it was about me. But in my head, I was like, okay, well, this is about two people. It's about me or it's about Casey. I think it's about me because I've been the more public person that's out there. But I legitimately was like, I don't know how anyone's going to get rid of Casey at any point in the game because I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him. I've never read a bad word about him. Like, he's just killing it.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to say before we wrap this interview up? Anything you want to get out there before we
let everyone from my cast know that I am alive. I'm not the best loser. And after games end, I'm not always the most responsive person. I'm sure you know this too. I'm not always the most responsive person. And like when I lose, I need to like really, like I need some time. I need some true time, and I need to think about what I did wrong. That's why I have like so many thoughts, like right now about like what I could have done if I was around, and it is like winning is just like if I win something, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a relief. But if I lose, I'm like, you suck. You're the worst person. Why do you even play things? Like you're awful. So I have taken losing pretty hard, and it's not that I don't like you guys, and it's not that I'm not messages or anything. It's just that I'm not always the most responsive person, and I'm just, I'm just coping with everything. But everyone
thought you went back to Alaska with the other polar bears, though.
Yeah, no. I think everyone's great, and they're all like, I'm glad. Like, I don't think I play games, so I understand how tight a community is, and I think even this more so because it is such a rare experience. But it's always like that after a game where you like all your people. It's so nice to not have the stress of the game to be able to talk to everyone. And I think everyone's great. I just need more time to.
I will say this for sure though. Like throughout the whole like beginning of it, middle, end, there was a lot of people that were like, "Yo, Drew." Like they weren't even saying it on like social media, but they were like, "Yo." It was Blake too. Blake was like, "Yo, Drew is so good at these games," well, and I'm like, okay, well, hold it back.
Blake is just a fanboy, all right? Blake is. I don't even think Blake saw me play until this. I think Blake just heard the legend, and he's talked to me before, and Blake is very easy manipulated, as you've seen. Lester season 1.
All right, so I guess we're gonna wrap this interview up. Drew, where can everyone find you?
I'm at Drew Hill on Twitter with 1 L, DREWHIL. Follow me. I said this on my exit interview with Sequester Bot. PM me. I probably won't respond, and I'm sure people know from doing that. I'll get to it eventually, hopefully. I would appreciate the follow because it does make me feel good when people follow. I don't really have very many interesting things to say, but sometimes I'm snarky. And sorry for taking your time, and anyone who made it to the end of this, bless your heart.
No, that's all right. It's all good. You played a really good game. A lot of people have respect for you, and it is what it is. It's about how you get there. It's more about how you get there than that will have more respect. At least I think. So I guess this wraps the interview up. Thank you, Drew, for coming us on the show. I know you're a busy guy.
What a narcissist who spends an hour with you in half the game.
All right, guys. Until next time, guys.